Gavin Newsom, the governor of our state here in California and the presumptive frontrunner in the Democratic presidential primary for 2028, I think you could make the argument he had the worst February of any major wannabe candidate in modern memory, or surely the worst record of any governor in the last 30 days. It wasn't supposed to be that way. He has a new autobiography. And his problem there is he comes across as what he is, a child of privilege, a nepo baby. So he wants to dispel that image. So when he talked about he just ate white bread or he had all of these problems growing up, he said he had dyslexia. But the idea that Gavin Newsom was somehow parallel to Abraham Lincoln in a log cabin or JD Vance just doesn't work. Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Gavin Newsom, the governor of our state here in California and the presumptive frontrunner in the Democratic presidential primary for 2028, I am biased because I've had to live under his tenure for 6 years, but I think you could make the argument he had the worst February of any major wannabe candidate in modern memory, or surely the worst record of any governor in the last 30 days. It wasn't supposed to be that way. He has a new autobiography. And his problem there is he comes across as what he is, a child of privilege, a nepo baby, a person whose father was a close, intimate friend of Governor Pat Brown, senior Governor Pat Brown. He was a good friend and somewhat related to Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Brown. And of course, he was subsidized and helped in his business venture by the Getty family and their mega oil fortune inherited from their father, who created Getty Oil. So he wants to dispel that image. So when he talked about he just ate white bread or he had all of these problems growing up, he said he had dyslexia. We'll get to that in a minute, but the idea that Gavin Newsom was somehow parallel to Abraham Lincoln in a log cabin or JD Vance just doesn't work. Then he went over to Munich because, he's a California governor. He doesn't have any foreign experience, and he thought he was going to impress the Europeans with their shared dislike of Donald Trump. But it was a disaster. He said something about you shouldn't wear knee pads. He's a vulgarian. He really is. He can't keep his potty mouth clean. And I don't think anybody at that type of serious discussion of foreign policy wants some upstart California governor to come over and talk about people being on their knee pads. I suppose that's a reference for a sexual act of submission. Then he has he's had this social media team, and their theory is that Donald Trump, with his capital letters, exclamation points, personal ad hominem attacks, has upped his popularity. And therefore, he's going to imitate Donald Trump's style with capital letters, the same format, but he's going to has a constant level of pejoratives that are obscene, almost pornographic. And then therefore, he will out-Trump Trump. He has a fundamental failing, everybody, and you know that. You will vote for Donald Trump because of his record and his courage in breaking existing norms and taboos and trying to do things that no one ever did, like close the border, stop crime, deal with the left, Doge, deal with the Iranians, deal with the Venezuela. And the tweets in which he describes that are attacks of Robert De Niro that's something that you will tolerate despite, not because of those tweets. Gavin Newsom got it all wrong. He thought, well, Trump is doing well because of his tweets, and I'm going to be out trumping Trump. And the result is he's unleashed this unfortunate character. I think he's called Izzy Gardon. I don't know how you pronounce it, but my gosh, they're full of expletives. He's in a tweet war with Sean Hannity. He used the F word. He used the SH word. He's they come out of the mouth of the governor of California like they're nothing. He's really debased the office. He's got one of the most foul-mouthed, Gavin Newsom, and now you're putting it, if I could use that archaic term, in print, in these social media daily outbursts. There was a simple reporter, Susan Crabtree. She has a very good reputation. She works for Real Clear Politics. And getting back to dyslexia, she says, all of a sudden you're emphasizing dyslexia, but we would like to know when he was officially diagnosed with this medical condition. And his social media Gardon Izzy said, F off, to a reporter, which didn't go down well. As far as dyslexia goes, it's very hard to find him credible. Not that he doesn't have it, but when he says, I can't read, I can't believe that's true, because not too long ago he bragged to us, I think, that he was reading a 260-page book in an hour and a half as if he was a speed reader. And my gosh, anybody who is a governor of a huge state like California, or a governor of any state, gets page after page daily in memoranda and policy papers and speeches. So when he says he can't read, it wouldn't convince most people. And why did he say that he couldn't read? Because he's flailing and he wants to have some sympathy. I think that's the reason. The same thing, he wants to be a pseudo poor boy. When Ted Cruz said you were historically illiterate, and Newsom again fired from the hip and said that Trump had no historical precedent or right to bring in federal troops. That's happened 5 or 6 times in our history. Civil War, draft riots, World War I veterans marching for their bonuses they didn't receive, Rodney King riots were Colin Powelson and I think 4,000 or 5,000 Marines on the order of George H.W. Bush. And so Ted Cruz said, Gavin, you're historically illiterate. And sure enough, he says, how dare you make fun of a person with a handicap because you're saying that I'm illiterate because I can't read. And of course, being historically illiterate means you're able to read, you just don't read history, or you would have not made such a blunder. And he confused that. Again, the subtext was, please feel sorry for me, because otherwise I have no redeeming values as a candidate. And then he made the foul paw of all mistakes. He got before an African American audience. And remember, every time a Democratic white elite gets in front of an African-American audience, something happens. They either feel uncomfortable, or they want to fake it like there's somebody they're not, or they're condescending, or it just doesn't work well. Remember Joe Biden, when he wanted to attack Mitt Romney, he said to a group of highly educated, professional blacks in the audience that Mitt Romney going to put you all in chains. He kind of did the accent, put you all in, as if these capable people couldn't protect themselves without Joe Biden, as if we were going to go back to slavery. When we had Hillary Clinton, remember, I tried, so I didn't come this far. She was trying to imitate, I guess, the voice she thought Sojourner Truth or Harriet Tubman would have said, somebody like that. It was a disaster. Even Barack Obama, who's half African-American, always went into a different patois to condescend to his audience. And that's exactly what Gavin Newsom did, only it was worse because it was content, not just style. Not just style. He was speaking very slow and changed his cadence, but when he said to them, I'm just like you. I'm illiterate, and I had a 960, and I'm not saying I had a 960 to make you out there in the audience have 940. That was an insult, because he was saying to them, you are not very bright, and therefore you should feel empathy with me because I'm claiming that I'm not very bright, but I really don't believe it, and they don't believe that he really meant that either. So it was completely racist and insulting. It's up there with Joe Biden's corn pop sagas. Barack Obama's the first black who's clean and can articulate. It's up there with his use of boy and Negro. As I said, all of these politicians have a checkered record when it comes to race, which is ironic because they pose as defenders of civil rights. Finally, what's the elephant in the room? All of what I talked about is a camouflage, a mask for the problem, and that is 300,000 people are leaving his state per year. Since he's been governor, he's taken paradise and turned it into purgatory, whether it's the fires, the high-speed rail, boondoggle, highest income taxes in the nation, the recent billionaires tax that's already driven $1 trillion out of the state. We have the highest number of homeless people. We have 1/3 of all welfare recipients. We have the highest poverty rate. I think we're 21 to 22%. We have no plans to assimilate, acculturate, or integrate 27% of the population that was foreign born. We have the highest number of illegal aliens. About 1 out of every 3 people that enters our now bankrupt health system has diabetes. And Louisiana and Mississippi have higher test scores in their elementary schools than we do. Add it all up, and he's got only one campaign slogan. Gavin Newsom will have to run is, I want to do to the United States what I did to California. We'll see how that works out. Thank you very much. This is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to be notified for more content like this. You can also check out my own website at victorhanson.com and subscribe for exclusive features in addition.